The following program is a paid advertisement for Doc Tony.
Car accidents happen every day, and knowing what to do next is vital. There's no question that car collisions can be traumatic on many levels, financially, emotionally, and even physically. We are fortunate to have a doctor here with us today to tell us what we can do if we are ever faced with one of these situations. Anthony Crothers, Doctor of Chiropractic, better known as Doc Tony, is here today to tell us what we can do if we've been injured in an auto accident. Doc Tony, tell us, what happens to our body when we've been injured in an auto accident?
Well, Terry, when people are involved in a car accident, let's talk about a common accident.
Okay.
When people get rear-ended, when they get hit from the back. And what that's commonly called is what's called whiplash. And the reason they call it whiplash is the individual is sitting in their car. And if you can imagine, back in the day, cars would be similar to the seat that I'm sitting in.
Yes.
They had bucket seats that stopped. And what happened when people would get rear-ended, their head is going to snap back. And then it snaps forward.
Wow.
The reason they put headrest in cars is that's what stops the head now from accelerating backwards. Back in the 50s and 60s, before they put those headrests in, people were suffering more severe damage to their spinal cord, because there was nothing to stop the acceleration of the head from going back. And that's why they actually put those headrests in. So when somebody gets rear-ended, their head's going to accelerate back into the impact. So it's going to go back, and then it's going to go forward. This happens suddenly, and it happens violently and abruptly. So one could kind of equate this. If I was to take my thumb and yank it back this way, I would overstretch, tear, or I would rupture the soft tissue that holds this thumb or this joint in place. So if you can equate that to the spine, you have so many joints that make up the spinal column.
Yes.
So when you overstretch, tear, or rupture the soft tissue now loses its ability to proper support the joint. So in time, if you lose the proper support, the proper function of the joint, it's now prone to premature arthritis, premature degeneration. So after somebody's been involved in a car accident, if they're stiff, if they're sore,
yes,
without a doubt, that indicates that that soft tissue is either overstretched, it was torn, or it was ruptured. And it's very important for individuals to get put on a rehabilitative program.
Now, I've got to ask you about that. How important is it to get the proper treatment immediately?
Well, look at it this way. If somebody were to cut themselves, if I were to cut myself, the better I take care of that cut from the onset, the better the long-term prognosis is going to be.
Yes.
So at any part of the healing process, if I neglect to take care of it properly, there's going to be a consequence. In the first stage, if I don't take care of it properly, it could get infected.
Right.
In the second stage, if it's forming a scab and I pick at it, it can affect how the scar is going to form.
Okay.
And even after the scab falls off, if I'm not massaging it, if I'm not rubbing it, I'm not breaking down that tissue to make it more pliable, it can form keloided tissue. So now you can imagine that same tissue that's forming on the outside of your body, when you tear that tissue, that's pretty much what happens inside your body.
Okay.
Anyone that's ever sprained an ankle or stubbed a toe and it turns black and blue?
Yes.
That's bleeding that's happening inside, but you just can't see it because it's inside your body. So when somebody has an accident, they call me up either later that night or the next day, and they're like, you know, Doc, I'm feeling just a little stiff or sore. I want them to understand that's a trauma that made you stiff and sore. You're not stiff and sore because you worked too much or you slept in a bad position or you worked out. You're stiff and sore because your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, the discs that sit in between the vertebrae, they were torn, they were overstretched, or they were ruptured. So if one doesn't begin immediate treatment on rehabilitating this soft tissue, and to me, rehabilitating of your spine is one of the most important things to take care of.
Yes, proper treatment.
Absolutely, and the reason being is because your nervous system runs through the spinal column. See, on every individual, you have your brain, you have your central nervous system, and then exiting between these holes that are formed are nerves, and they go to all the parts of your body, to the tips of my finger. The only reason I'm able to feel that I'm touching that right there is there's a nerve that's functioning properly, and it takes that message back to my spinal cord and to a section of my brain that lets me know, hey, I can feel that, and I can move that.
So right now, you're talking about the importance of the spine to our life.
Absolutely. Which equates back to when somebody has a car accident, why it's so important to take care of that soft tissue. See, if you don't take care of the soft tissue, now the joint biomechanically is not going to function right.
Okay.
So let's take an example. When we're talking about these discs. If everybody can look at those discs, that's what separates these vertebrae, and that's what allows the nerves to come out of. The disc also acts as a shock absorber. When you jump, when you walk, this absorbs the forces that go through your body. So if this spine is biomechanically working correct, these discs will last as long as we were intended to last. I mean, we weren't built for our spines to rot or decay prematurely.
Yes.
But just like with dental hygiene, if you're not taking care of your teeth, they're not going to last as long. And if you don't take care of your spine, practicing good spinal hygiene, it too will not last as long. So if it's not biomechanically working right, just these discs alone, they'll wear out prematurely. Similar to if you're driving your car.
Exactly.
You ever knock your alignment out of your car?
Yes.
And what happens to your tires?
It goes out.
That's right. I mean, I've knocked the alignment out of my car. You know, you hit a big pothole in your car, right? We all take it right back to the center of the road and we drive it. You let go of the wheel and you see, does it go right? Does it go left? Now, that's not the major problem right then, but if you don't get it fixed, 4 months from now, you let go of that wheel, it'll do a U-turn in the middle of the road. So what essentially is happening there, if the car is not working mechanically correct, the tires aren't going to last as long. They're going to wear out prematurely. So if the tires were meant to last for 35,000 miles and the car's out of alignment, they're going to be worn out at 7,000 miles.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening to individuals' bodies that are out there. Our bodies we're not built with the intention of being worn out. These are all systems in our body, whether it's the cardiovascular system, the gastrointestinal system, or the nervous system, or the musculoskeletal system. If you take care of it, it will last as long as it's intended to last. If you don't take care of it, it's going to wear out prematurely. And that's why it's so important after people have been involved in a motor vehicle accident or a slip and fall or any type of trauma where you sustain damage to your soft tissue, is to get that soft tissue rehabilitated properly, because that's what supports this joint, the joints of your spine, and that's where all the life force of your body runs through. Your brain is so important that it's encased completely in bone. Your spinal cord is so important that it's encased completely in bone, because nothing can happen to this. The spinal cord in the brain is like the circuit breaker of the building. If all the lights went out in here, we would go to the circuit breaker.
Yes.
If there was an outlet or a section that wasn't working, we would go check that particular wiring.
Exactly.
Well, it's the same thing if somebody has sciatica. You go to the wiring of the body. Sciatica is when somebody has numbness and tingling. I believe you had sciatica at one time.
Yes, I did.
When you get that sharp pain that's radiating down your leg, what that means is a nerve is being pinched. If you don't get that pressure off of that nerve, you're going to continue to have a sensation. So the bottom line is the spinal column is what houses all your life, all your impulses that keep you alive and keep your body functioning right is through your nervous system. So if you're to let this become rotten and decay, it's going to greatly interfere with your quality of life. That's why people, after they've had accidents, and if you feel stiffness or soreness, a lot of times people say, you know, doc, I'm not hurt too bad. I'm a little stiff. Because people are tough and they don't really have an understanding of what's going on. Hey,
and they don't immediately call a doctor for treatment.
A lot of times people don't, because, hey man, we grew up tough. When we were kids, my mom gave me Robitussin, that's all you got. You had a little neck pain, hey, you got Robitussin, go to the back. So there's lots of people out there that just kind of try to deal with the symptom until it becomes unbearable. Plus it's expensive to get care, and not everyone understands exactly how the insurance works when they're involved in a car accident. People do have coverage under their automobile insurance if they've been up to date on making their payments and doing things right. So there is coverage to take care of people if they're involved in a car accident. But a lot of individuals just don't understand the true necessity, because who really thinks that neck stiffness is that serious?
Exactly.
But what they need to understand, if the neck is stiff or sore after you've been involved in an accident, it's sore because you tore or stretched the muscles.
Now, why is it that people complain about pain years after an auto accident?
Well, they complain of pain years after an auto accident because, like I described with the car being out of alignment, sometimes it takes a while before you get this symptom. You knock the car out of alignment, you got a little bit of a symptom. But 4 or 5 months down the road, if you don't take care of it, it becomes a much worse. So it's really important, if you have an injury or if you have a symptom, to see what that problem is, look to resolve it. Just don't keep suppressing the symptom.
Now, how can we get in contact with you?
Anybody who's ever injured in a car accident or has a question or a health question, you can contact me, Doc Tony, at 1-888-888-8863.
If you find yourself in need of auto accident assistance, call Doc Tony at 1-888-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his convenient locations, or you can visit his website at www.doctony.org. Accidents can leave you with all types of injuries and pain. I feel like everywhere I look, someone is trying to tell me to call this number or that lawyer. It can be very confusing. We're here with Dr. Anthony Crothers, better known as Doc Tony, today to help us understand what to do if ever faced with an auto accident. Doc Tony, tell us, whom should we call first when we've been injured?
Well, in my opinion, you should always call the doctor first if you're injured in a car accident. I mean, that's like if you're drowning, you know, you don't need swimming lessons. You need somebody to pluck you from the water and save you. So if you're injured, you need a doctor to treat you. And then you may or may not need an attorney.
All right. And why is it important to find a doctor you can trust?
Well, it's important to find a doctor you can trust, especially if your main objective is to be made whole again. And you weren't looking, you were one of those individuals, you weren't looking to have an accident, you weren't looking to be injured, then you don't want to take with you for the rest of your life a permanent injury, something that if it was treated properly could have been minimized. You know, we talked about on the earlier segment on the importance of soft tissue and what it does when it's not treated right, and I kind of talked about the keloided and how you cut your skin. Well, this is why you need to make sure you're having proper treatment. If you don't take care of that cut at any part of the healing process, it's the same thing in the soft tissue of your spine, or any soft tissue, or hamstring, whatever you injure. If it's not taken care of properly, then it's not going to be able to support the joint, if that's what the function of that muscle is, or it's not going to function properly. Whether it's a hamstring and you pull a hamstring, it's not going to be able to contract properly if you don't get rid of the scar tissue. If it's a one ligament in your knee, everyone out there can relate to athletes, and the injury and the rehabilitation time it varies greatly depending on what ligament they even injure. So there's so many different ligaments that hold your spine together as well as muscles. So one can imagine if you didn't receive the proper treatment, then as far as your quality of life going forward, is going to greatly be diminished, because you don't always see the effects right then and there. No different from an injury to your knee. It takes years for the degenerative process to take place. Why? Because you no longer have the soft tissue to support it right. So that's why it's important to go to a good doctor. Now, what I want people to aware of, when you go to doctors that you can't trust, or that you don't know if you can trust, and that is the key thing. You need to know the doctor that you're going to, get a recommendation from somebody. Check them out. Just don't go to anybody. You wouldn't just buy a car from anybody. I mean, there's a guy, anytime there's floods, the first thing they tell people, watch out for people selling cars. Why? Because there's guys plucking those things from the flood zone out of the rivers, and they're selling them to people. And if you do your due diligence, you might buy one of those cars. Hey, even when I got Petey, who, by the way, Petey is Mother Nature has called, and Petey will be back. Okay, but even when I got Petey, they checked me out before they let me take Petey home. They want to make sure that I was okay. And people go there every day. Every day they're calling these numbers, and they're going to these clinics, and they're going to these doctors, and they're calling these attorneys that you don't even know them. And believe me, you don't know somebody just because you see them on TV. I mean, that's the oldest thing in the world. Play a commercial over and over, people will use it. Hey, I want people's business. I do. That's why I play a commercial. But I'm going to earn your business. You're going to meet me. You're going to know that I'm a doctor you can trust. You're going to meet my staff. You're going to know that the staff you can trust. And that's what's important. Just don't give your business to anybody. Make sure that they've earned your trust, and you're giving your business to the people that deserve it. Okay? The people that they turn out and the things that happen to people when you go to these bad doctors are horrible. Think of this. A gentleman goes into a bad clinic, has an injury, goes to a doctor, it's a bad office, the doctor puts him a prescription, writes him a prescription for pain. This guy looks at this doctor, he's going to think he believes everything the doctor says. Now remember, you're in a bad clinic, people. Their objective is to defraud you of your personal injury protection. They're never going to treat you right. They're writing you this script because they're going to give you a script for pain medication. They want you addicted. Because after they've defrauded your PIP, they've got the liability insurance, they've done surgery on somebody who did not need it. Because when you go to these clinics, you did not need the surgery. And how do you know you didn't need the surgery? Are you sitting up straight, even listening to me talk? Are you doing any type of rehabilitative program on your home? At your home, did they teach you anything? Did you really get any type of treatment? Are you someone sitting there right now contemplating, or are they trying to get you to have this surgery? Don't do it. Don't let these people do surgery when you do not need it. Because here's the story, what happens to these people. After they've had the surgery, they're no better, because you're still in pain because you never got treatment. So it doesn't mean that the person's not in pain, they are. But the surgery that they did on you, that's not going to help you. Now they've got you on pills for that pain. Well, where's the story for this person? Eventually this person's going to end up probably on disability. And as a society, we lose productivity from our citizens. And these people are doing this to thousands of people a month. And the worst thing is the addiction. We have kids, we lead the country in kids that are being born addicted to pain pills. And they've gotten there all from these doctors. Okay, so everyone that's on that team, they all have the hand on a gun. And when you use these numbers, you're contributing to that. You're enabling them to keep doing this to another person. So anyone that this has already happened to, don't let it happen to your friends. The people have the power. You have the control. Stop using just any number and stop going to any attorney. If you don't have a doctor you can trust, call me, Doc Tony. I would never do that to a person, and anybody that does that to a person, hey man, they definitely don't deserve you. You're worth it. These people that do this, they're not.
Yeah. Why are you a doctor that we can trust?
Well, I'm a doctor you can trust because, you know, I'm not a part of the problem. I'm a part of the solution. I'm part of helping people. Our staff is about treating individuals and getting them back to the way they were before they had the injury. Our goal is not to make somebody, to fabricate injuries that aren't there so that their attorney can get them more money.
Right.
So for individuals that are looking to be healthy, to be made whole, and whether or not somebody wants an attorney or not, that's up to them. That's a whole legal matter. Again, that is totally up to them. It's hard to make it in this world. So there's all types of reasons that people have an attorney. The biggest problem is when people have unnecessarily procedures done to them that they do not need.
If you've been injured in an auto accident and you're not sure what to do next, call Doc Tony at 1-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his 3 convenient locations. Or you can visit his website at www.doctony.org. We're back with Doc Tony, and it is clear that getting injured in a car accident can be tricky. If you don't know what to do or where to get help, Doc Tony is here to help us understand what you can do if you're faced with an injury as a result of an auto accident. Doc, tell us what happens when people go to a Doc Tony clinic.
Well, you know what? Thanks for asking. And why don't you all check this out? Take a look for yourselves. What's up, Jacksonville? Doc Tony. Welcome to one of my offices. Let me show you through. Right this way. What's up, guys? How you doing, man? Everything good?
Yes, sir.
How you doing? Everything good? Plenty of space, plenty of treatment rooms. Come on through. It's a nice, quiet room. Come on in. How's it going, man? Everything going good?
Yeah.
They taking good care of you here?
Oh, yeah.
Good, man. Good, man. It's a comfortable table, right?
Yes, sir.
It warm enough?
Yes, sir.
Good, man. That's the hydrotherapy table. Everyone needs one of those. These are some more tables. Everybody gets a nice little private area. Pull the curtain back, nice and quiet. Opportunity to relax. Plenty of tables for everyone, plenty of space. There's a neuromuscular machine for balance and coordination. Patients come in here, get a little workout. It's good for individuals that have lower back pain, knee pains, hip pains, any types of problems with balance. How's everything going, sir? Everything going good?
Going great.
All right, good, man. How you doing, man? Everything good? They take good care of you here?
Yes.
Good, good, good. X-ray room, everything you need. When you come to a Doc Tony clinic and you're injured in a car accident and you're requiring full services for any type of injuries you might have, we're able to provide all those services right here. From therapies, from massage to x-rays right on site, as well as therapeutic exercises. All that with a friendly staff and knowledgeable.
I called Dr. Tony because I got in a car accident. I seen his commercials, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try him out. I called him. He answered on the first call, on the first ring, actually, and he was like, hey, this is Dr. Tony. I love this personality. He referred me to his, one of his offices. He set me up with an appointment the next day. They picked me up. They gave me a cold drink because I was thirsty, and I was just like, oh, I got to go there again. His staff is very friendly. They're helpful, kind, they're always supportive. Every time I call, I could get an answer. He referred me to my legal services, he put me in that direction. I just love Dr. Tony. He's like the best, yeah.
This is one of my favorite offices. I love Northside. I just like looking from here, especially when it's really busy and all the people are buzzing around, all the atmosphere, the energy that's going on, all the people, when it's really when it's really happening, it's a good time. You can feel the energy.
I love all his doctors, his staff. They're all excellent. They're really good people. And they have some really good events for the community. He gives back. His whole staff is included. Everybody has hands-on with everything. So I love it. I love Dr. Tony and his staff.
Good morning, ma'am. Please fill this out and we'll be right with you. Good morning. My name is Sheila. I am the manager and the patient coordinator here at Doc Tony offices. We understand that being involved in an auto accident, there is a medical as well as a legal side to this. We want you to understand both. Paula, who is our insurance coordinator and manager, is going to help you fill out your paperwork so that you understand what it is that you're filling out and why. There should be no confusions as to what you're filling out when you go into a clinic. You will also receive copies of everything that you fill out when you come into our office. Here at the clinic, we understand that this is a private and personal matter that you are involved in, so privacy is very important to our patients. We have a therapist that is going to take care of you, explain the therapies, and also give you home therapies. Your health is very important. It's the most important part of this recovery is your health.
Doc, it looks like you really care about your patients and have a passion for what you do. Tell us, what can we expect when we get treatment at a Dr. Tony clinic?
Well, what people can expect is this. First of all, individuals weren't looking to have an accident.
Right.
So the most important thing to individuals is to be made whole, to get back to the way they felt before they had that accident, before the accident actually occurred. And we can't always do that, but we're going to do the best that we can, okay? So what I can guarantee people when you come to a Dr. Tony clinic is you're coming to a doctor and to a staff that truly cares, a staff that's knowledgeable, not only about treating your condition, but teaching you what your condition is. I found throughout the years that I've done this, people, if they truly understand what their condition is, they're better able to take care of it going forward.
What can someone expect when they call Dr. Tony?
Well, they're going to get, you dial my number, 888-8863. I'm going to pick it up. You're going to talk to me, Dr. Tony, and then I'm going to, find out exactly what's going on with you. And if indeed I feel I can help you, then I'm going to refer you to one of my clinics where we can get you set up with the proper treatment program.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Dr. Tony at 1-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his 3 convenient locations, or you can visit his website at www.drtony.org. Car accidents happen every day, and many people are unprotected when it comes to their auto insurance. We're here with Dr. Anthony Crothers, better known as Doc Tony, and he's going to help us better understand how to be properly covered if we're injured in a car accident. Doc, you have been on our radio program at Pure Radio for quite some time now. And one of the questions people ask all the time is, how do I know if I'm fully covered when it comes to car insurance? What is full coverage?
Let me tell you what, that's a term that gets a lot of people in trouble. And absolutely, the time to know your insurance and your coverage is before you have the accident, not after. And I get calls all the time from individuals that didn't really have a good understanding of what their insurance, is. And I don't believe I would really understand insurance, except I'm in the business. So by no means is it any fault of the individuals out there. So it's just important to know. So basically, there's 7 types of coverages. Only 2 are a mandate in the state of Florida. So there's people out there driving that only coverage you may have is what's called personal injury protection and property damage. And those are 2 that you're mandated to have in the state of Florida. PIP covers you for $10,000 and any injuries that you or any passenger you may have in your car, as long as they don't have their own car. If they have their own car, then they're supposed to have that registered, and they're supposed to have their own insurance. So it covers anybody in your car that doesn't have their own vehicle, then they're going to be covered under the PIP. The property damage, if you were the person that was at fault, that's going to cover any damage that you might cause to the person's car or a fence or a tree or different things like that. Now, other coverage that you want to make sure you have that aren't necessarily a mandate. In other words, you don't have to have them. So there's lots of people think they have full coverage, and those are the only 2 things they have. So this is very important to understand the insurance. Bodily injury is not a mandate, but this is something that people absolutely have to have. You don't need your government to tell you or a state to tell you that, it's important to look after one another. Bodily injury is what protects all of us in society. If accidents happen, it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. We don't live in a perfect world. So if I were to crash into you and I cause some injuries to you and I don't have bodily injury coverage, that's not a very responsible thing. Anybody out there has a mother, father, sister, a brother, your cousin, and an accident happened to them and the person that hit them didn't have coverage, how would you feel? So it's important to have bodily injury coverage. Then to protect yourself against people who may not have the bodily injury coverage, you want to have uninsured motorists. That protects you against drivers who either have no insurance or insufficient coverage. So people, make sure you have, number 1, make sure you have that BI, but if you, just to cover yourself, everybody should have uninsured motorists. And then the other ones that you can have is additional medical pay, so additional coverage on top of your PIP, and then you have collision and comprehensive. I get calls from people all the time that can't afford to replace their car. So individually, if you can't afford to replace your car, make sure that you have collision, because if you can't afford to get a new one, that's going to cover your expenses to get another car. So those are your 7 basic coverages that people want to make sure they have. They should contact their agent and make sure they have bodily injury and uninsured motors. It's very important to have those.
And how can we reach you, Dr. Tony?
Anybody has any questions about anything, a health condition, a car accident, any type of injury you might sustain, you can reach me at 888-8863. And remember, Jacksonville, I'm more than a catchy number. I'm real.
If you find yourself in need of auto accident assistance, call Dr. Tony at 1-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his 3 convenient locations, or you can visit his website at www.drtony.org. Car crashes can happen in an instant and sometimes leave you with injuries that can last years and really affect your quality of life. When you're hurt, it's important to get help and the proper care. We've learned today that getting injured in a car accident can be tricky business if you don't have a doctor you can trust. Doc, tell us, why are you here today?
Well, the key word that you just said, quality of life. I want to make sure that people have that quality of life going forward. And if you sustain an injury from a car accident or a slip and fall and you damage the soft tissue, as I explained earlier, the spine, you need to take care of that. And damaging the soft tissue, you lose the ability to properly support those joints of the spine. It's going to greatly interfere with your quality of life going forward. And that's what's the most important thing. People weren't looking to have an accident. They weren't looking to be injured. They want to be made whole again. And that's the sad thing when you don't get with a doctor that truly cares about you. You're going to end up with a doctor that's part of the problem. They're hooked up with just trying to make money, not trying to help people out. And that's why it's so important to look for doctors that care about people. And there's so many out there. And when you get a doctor that you can trust, that's his main objective, is to help make you whole again, to restore you back to your pre-injury status. And that's the most important thing.
And you're a doctor that really cares about people. And so when someone contacts your office, what can they expect from you and your staff?
Well, what they can expect from me and my staff is a staff that cares, a staff that's knowledgeable, professional, and caring. And we're going to do what we can to get you back to your pre-injury status. And more importantly, we're going to educate you on the philosophy of chiropractic. So sometimes a bad thing like having a car accident, that can bring you into an office because you sustain injuries, but at the same time, you're going to get enlightened about something you may not have known about. So overall, we're going to try to improve your quality of life, and improve your overall health by not just addressing the injury that brought you into our office, but introducing you to health, to chiropractic care, and the philosophy of proper nutrition, proper eating, everything that goes along with improving the quality of life. That's what you get at a Doc Tony clinic, because we care.
Now, you don't have the typical doctor image. What do you say to people when they ask you, are you really a doctor?
Well, what I'll tell them is, what does a doctor look like? You know, if you need me to, you know, wear a white coat and say, Dr. Crothers right across the front, if that's what people need, then, you know, I'm not their guy. What I've learned as I've gotten older is that it's not, you know, how a person dresses, it's about what's on the inside. So you can always tell something about somebody when you get to know them, not so much by their appearance.
We have learned a lot today about what to do if you're ever injured in an auto accident. We hope you are never faced with this situation. But if you find yourself in need of assistance, call Doc Tony at 1-888-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his 3 convenient locations, or you can visit his website at www.doctony.org. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
What's up, Jacksonville? Doc Tony. And this handsome guy here is my dog, Petey. Being injured in a car accident can be a tricky business. It's important to be with a doctor and an attorney you can trust. That's why you call the doctor first. And call me, Doc Tony. The doctor you know you can trust provides you with all your accident needs. I have 3 convenient locations on the north, south, and west side of town. And if you need transportation, hey, I provide that with a cold drink. So call me, Doc Tony, at 1-888-888-8863. And remember, Jacksonville, I'm more than a catchy number. I'm real. What's up, Jacksonville? Doc Tony. And I've been taking care of people injured in car accidents for over 20 years. If you're injured, it's important to be with a doctor and an attorney you can trust.
He set me up with an appointment the next day. They picked me up. They gave me a cold drink because I was thirsty, you know, and I was just like, oh, I got to go there again. You know, his staff is very friendly. They're helpful, kind, you know, they're always supportive. Every time I call, I can get an answer.
So call me, Doc Tony, at 1-888-888-8863. And remember, Jacksonville, I'm more than a catchy number. I'm real.
This has been a paid commercial program. The views expressed belong to its participants and are not necessarily those of the management and staff of WCWJ.